The army and people are offering the greatest glory to Kim Jong-il, who has defended the destiny of the country and nation with a precious sword of Sungun politics. It is the outstanding feat of Kim Jong-il that he regarded the People's Army as the main force for the completion of socialist cause and made Korea a strong military country.
Okay, I want to do this survey right quick here. Just want to make sure here. Press 1 if you want me to keep doing Vosh clips. I just want to make sure, because I feel like I've almost kind of like, bruh, it's a little too much. You know, so just do like a 1 if you want me to keep on doing the clips, or 2 if you want me to do some more original stuff. I am going to do more original stuff, but yeah. Okay. Post more clips. Okay. This is, you know, me being a marketer, like I say, and even though I'm not brilliant, I at least want to try to get the right mix, you know. I want to make sure. I'll let everyone roll in a little bit here. Kind of get this decided. But yeah, basically 1 if you want me to do more Vosh clips. When he does more, you know, when he does streams, usually like Monday, usually Monday through Saturday or something like that. 1 is fun. Okay, cool. 1, okay. All right. I just want to double check because I feel like sometimes I overdo it. It's like I uploaded 6 clips today and I'm like, bruh, I almost wanted to do more. I was like, bruh, I could do at least another few clips. Because when I see the, you know, it's like, basically what I do is I'll explain my methodology, as boring as it is and how archaic as it is. But I basically just, okay, I'll turn on the stream. And I'll be like, oh, that's a good clip. And I'll just write down the minutes and the seconds. You know, if it goes on longer than the hour, you know, that I usually look within the first hour. I'm not going to sit there and unless I'm really watching the stream and I notice, oh, okay, 3 minutes, or 3 hours, okay, like 3:25, you know. But in general, I basically look at the first hour. You know, I'll just be honest. You know, but yeah, okay. I see a lot of 1s. Okay, cool. I just want to double check on that. I just want to double check because I feel like, I mean, it is good for cloud. It's like that video that I uploaded because I knew there are a lot of the Chapo fans. So that's why I uploaded the Chapo Trap House vid. And I tried to give context. That's why I uploaded the 18 minute, 36 second clip. I felt like, okay, let me give all the context. That way I'm trying to be fair. I try to be. But still, I mean, he says some ridiculous stuff. And it's like, bruh, someone's got to see this. And no one, you know, not everyone's going to sit through 4 hours or, you know, wait for him to upload his clips. You know, people aren't going to do that. And of course, I mean, sometimes he copes like, oh, if I was like Destiny or if I was like whoever, you know, yeah, I like watching Vosh without giving him views. That's fair. That is fair. Okay. I just wanted to double check, like I say. Because, you know, I was just sitting there watching. I'm like, bro, what? You know, watching the clips on my editing, the editing software. And I'm like, bro, am I doing the right thing with it? It's like, I understand there's a point where it's just like, it's just a little too much, you know? So I just wanted to double check on that. Like I said, just this is some very basic, Jason Unruh uploaded video. You should watch it if you haven't already. Oh yeah, this is the one about the concentration camps in Kenosha, right? I didn't want to click on it, to be honest with you. I'm like, okay, you know. I don't try to mess with Jason Unruh that much. I really don't, because in general, I think he gives some good takes here and there. Occasionally, I will give him that. I know that's kind of hypocritical, where it's like, bro, you shot on him in two streams, but it's like now you're saying you like him. I'm okay with him at times. You know, in general, it's like we can ostensibly be on the same side in some ways, but in general, it's like I don't know. You can feel as you want to, but But I will take a look at Jason Unruh's video. You know what? You want me to look at Jason Unruh's video? Should we do that? I won't even criticize him that much. I'll just make good, I'll just try to be more constructive. Is that fair? You all want me to do that? I'll wait for the response. Okay. Watch It's Great. Okay. Sure. We'll go ahead and do that then. We'll watch good old Jason Unruh. We'll watch good old Jason Unruh. Hey. Against the Native Blacks. Yep. True. Cool. Young Turks. Vosh. Transphobe. Debunks yourself on Joe. We don't care about that. Yeah. Should we defund the police part? I don't care about this. Okay. Let me see. I'm just lazy. I feel like just... Okay, here it is. Here's the video. Okay. Okay, let's see what this guy has to say. This is just one of those clip. I mean, the where he says we live in a society. Is that okay? Hold on. Don't worry, I'll show it. Yeah, reporting for the survey. I appreciate that. I just want to make sure here, Uncle Ho. Just to make sure here. So, are you cool with me continuing to use Vosh clips? I just want to make sure here. You can just 1 for yes and 2 for no. We'll go ahead and do it that way. Just to say. Just so everyone, just as long as it's fair for everybody. Yeah, Jason is objectively better than Vosh. Yeah, once again, I agree. As much as I do criticize, as much as I may say negative things about Jason Unruh, it's like we're both loosely part of anti-Vosh action. So I can't really, I can't really get at him that much. We have to have our allies. Yes, LOL1. Okay, cool. Okay, we'll go ahead and see. We'll watch this clip here. It's a shorty clip. Less than a minute. Okay. And here we go.
Society has to come to a threshold where there's some people that aren't worth saving. We need to build warehouses to put these people into it and lock them away for the rest of their lives. Let's put them in jail. Let's stop them from...
Mask off. Holy crap. That's mask off right there. Oof. Even I have to say, I mean, that's okay.
Truly, at least some of these males going out and getting 10 other women pregnant and having small children. Let's put them away. At some point, we have to stop being politically correct. And I don't care what race, I don't care how old they are. If there's a threshold that they cross, these people have to be warehoused.
He's going to lose his job. Either he's going to lose his job or he's going to get promoted. Either way, yeah. I thank you for suffering through it to bring his clips. I would never watch unedited Vosh myself. That's fair. Thank you. Okay. I will continue to do that then. I will try to find the cringiest clips I can of him. That way, and I will try to make them reasonable of length. So, yeah. Anyway, wow. Okay.
Time in the jails. We put them away. We put them away for the rest of their lives so that the rest of us can be better.
I mean, yeah. 3 to 4. Yeah, there you go. We'll go ahead and do it. Yeah. 3 based or 4 unbased. Yeah, for that clip. I would say, you know what? 5. Yeah, 3 through 3 based. Yeah, put them in camps. 5. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you know what? 5 is like Dzerzhinsky gang, right? I mean, yeah, 5 is Dzerzhinsky gang, I think, because it's just like, just shoot him, Yeah. I mean, it's sort of, it's mask off and it's sort of based, but it's like, why put him in there for the rest of their lives? Just, you know what? Let's just say redact. Let's just do that. Let's go ahead and do 6 for Dzerzhinsky gang, right? I mean, that's really what we need, right? I don't know if y'all all saw this, but you know what? Let me go ahead. Just give me a minute there. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves there. I know Ole saw this, but I'll go ahead and read through here. I got this book called Communist Morality. I'll go ahead and just type it in the chat one more time here. But yeah, Communist Morality. Here we go. So communist morality. And this is a short little, this is basically a book of quotes from Felix Dzerzhinsky. Felix Edmundovich Dzerzhinsky was a communist revolutionary, famous, the Bolshevik secret police, the Cheka, and he has some, let's go ahead and, camps are expensive and messy. Yeah, they definitely are. Yeah, I would say, I love the chat like that. I love that. Okay. Let's do some, I'm going to kind of review kind of what I did this morning, but just to kind of give y'all, this is kind of the evolution. I think it takes away from the impact every time an American calls everything a Nazi commie or, it is. It definitely is. I mean, and the thing is, of course, and Jason is, of course, a Canuck, but the thing is, he seems so Americanized that he might as well just call himself an American, but America. But yeah. Okay. Let's do some. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to read some other quotations of Mr. Felix Dzerzhinsky. May 10th, 1908, from a prison diary. It would not be worthwhile living if the star of socialism, the star of the future, were not shining down on mankind. For the ego cannot live if in itself it does not contain the rest of the world and the people. Such is the nature of this ego. Honestly, this is the closest to concentration. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you could say what Arpaio was doing in Arizona was pretty close. And of course, the thing is that he would use like pink handcuffs and, people would get smacked up and everything. It was, it was a very, let's say it's just, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go on about that. But yeah, I got to say it is it's fucked up to a point. I do say that. I think that other folks at least had the, bringing a tight lip in the air. Oh, cool. Taipei, Taiwan. 3-year-old safe after becoming a caught. Oh, shit, that's a kid. Holy shit. Taiwan be wildin'. That's Taiwan. Holy crap. Okay. And holy crap. That was Taiwan. Okay. Sorry. Y'all just watch me do what I would normally do. Okay. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Okay. I have matured in prison, in torments of solitude and torments of longing for the world and for life. And in spite of torments of longing, in spite of this, doubt in the justness of our cause has never risen in my heart. And that, I think I've read that one before yet. To live does not mean to have an indomitable faith. To live does not mean to have a dominable faith in victory. I was going to say one other one about taking bribes. Let me see here. I think Ole remembers this one. Let me see here. You know what? Let's just go ahead. We're going to go ahead and Yellow Kid turned into a bird. Oh, Lord. Lord have mercy. Yeah. Oh, boy. But let me I'm going to go ahead and try to be, I'm going to try to do some market segmentation. And Taiwan, I think you mean Chinese Taipei. I think I'm going to do some market segmentation here. And we're going to review American Johnson, a.k.a. non-compete. So let's go ahead and hit it. Let's go ahead and do it. I mean, it's sitting here. He's just, he's going to be goofy. He's going to be goofy. Let's just do this. Let's do it. Okay.
15 cities are defunding their police departments. Detroit is split on calls to defund the police. We should still defund the police. Activists call on Chicago leaders to defund police in the city's next budget.
If you would have suggested to me just a couple of years ago that we would ever read headlines like these in an American newspaper, why, I'd have called it a load of disreputable flibbertigibbet. And yet, here we are today, reading them. Well into the 21st century, in these United States of America, millions of people are marching in the streets and calling for the defunding and abolition of the police. The very men and women who protect our homes, our businesses, and our families from the iniquity of crime. It's fantastic, it's unbelievable, and yet It's true. It's now been 3 months since the George Floyd protests first broke out, and this movement seems to be here to contend with for a long time. But how can anyone want to get rid of the police? What kind of world would it be without the thin blue line to stand between the public at large and those who would prey upon the innocent? It's
Me.
a troublesome notion.
To help calm your nerves as we explore these trouble.
I wonder what he had to do in this film. Okay. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, base 50s propaganda. Yeah. Now I understand why Sears and Coms turned to, Gallianism. Yeah. You either imprison / kill reprobates of society or the inmates. Yeah, and like I say, it's a complicated thing. I mean, a lot of the time when you get sent to prison, you just become a better criminal. So yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing to say, isn't it? It's a difficult thing to say, even with the gulags. I try to put this into context, but even with the gulags, this is where the Russian mafia continued to exist, and of course, as you do, this is pre a lot of those other types of movies that were made, but it's like a lot of the criminals and whatnot who were in the gulags, once, Great Patriotic War defund the FBI. Yeah, exactly. That would be cool. But, they were offered the chance of freedom, fight for the Red Army against the Fash, and, some did, and some didn't, and ultimately the ones that came back, they were disavowed by a lot of their comrades, their criminal comrades, and then like, that shows, suka bled, everything else, So, yeah. And of course, that led to the Suka wars. And y'all know the bitch wars, basically. But yeah. And the state was trying to re-educate, rehabilitate. Needs to be, wink. Gulag was only 10 years. That was a mistake. Yeah. Defund police, but it might destabilize the system, not because of lofty ideas. Yeah. The thing is just like, what's going to fill the vacuum? That's all that we need to question. I'm not going to sit here and say, to defund or not to defund, that is a question. No. I say, who's going to fill the vacuum? That's the only question I have. If you're going to get rid of the police, go for it. But the thing is, you have to remember is that, the Crips and the Bloods started because they were community enforcers. And of course, like I say, it became, this is the same thing with the Black Panthers, is that they were taking in all these drugs and everything else. They were trying to clean up the community, and the temptation was strong. And, just kind of fell apart, unfortunately. But that's a whole other story. I'm just saying that's my take on it, ultimately. That's my view. The strong horse. Yeah. So, it's all about what's going to fill the vacuum. Yeah, Virgin defunding, Chad defund the CIA. Yeah, exactly. Homo neo-communism with Stonewall characteristics. Yeah. Golly, that guy last night. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious, wasn't it? Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all talk about that amongst yourselves. Okay.
Troublesome notions. This film series uses patent-pending Trouble Vision technology. As troublesome ideas begin to build, this meter will fill. And don't worry, once the meter is full...
Sorry, I'm just going to do that. Okay, let me do that right quick. Woo! Okay, I'm not going to read all that. Go ahead.
We'll take a break and put your mind at ease. And now, back to your host, Fake Professor.
So did he edit this? Because he had it on earlier, and I watched part of it, but I'm like, I got too much crap to watch.
Before we begin, I want to make one thing very clear. In this presentation series, I'm going to present some ideas to you that you are going to disagree with. I'm going to share information that you will be very skeptical of, and that's A-okay. I don't want or expect you to just believe everything I say without questioning.
What's going on, Mongoose Man?
About it. I don't expect or intend for you to change your mind.
Yeah.
All I really hope to do is help you to understand the
on 1% right now. Okay, that's cool, man. Go ahead and charge up, man. It's okay.
I'll share the sources.
You can watch this later. You can watch this later on, man. It's all good.
You can check the
you do what you got to do. It's all right.
Make up your mind on your own. And heck, If you really hate the idea of police abolition, then that should make you want to understand it that much more. After all, it'll be a lot easier to argue against your kids if you understand what police abolitionists are actually arguing for, right? Right. Okay, so before we can talk about police abolition, we have to talk about the police. As you've no doubt been seeing in the news, a lot of folks are pretty angry with the police lately. And why would that be? Well, everyone knows that this specific bout of protests was sparked by the tragic murder of George Floyd. But one thing you have
I gotta give him this. See, look, I'm not gonna just spew negativity. I'm gonna say it is a clever idea to put the trouble vision thing in the bottom. That way, people can just spurg out and say, this is BS and everything else like that. Because I imagine there are folks that still do that. But still, that's a clever idea. I'll give him that. Definitely a golf clap for that one. Him being a marketer as well. We're kind of kindred spirits in some way, but different in a lot of ways as well. But yeah, anyway.
To understand is that George Floyd was just one of countless black people to be murdered by police officers in the last couple of years alone. There are
Living on the edge kicks in, yeah.
To read them all, but you can
Live
look at
life
the
on the
cases
edge,
of
yeah.
Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, Jamel Floyd, and Eric Garner for just a few of the more egregious examples.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not just black people who've been murdered and assaulted by the police of late. Since these protests began, there have also been countless examples of police brutality being documented on camera against people of every ethnicity, including a 75-year-old white man who was shoved to the ground by 2 police officers in Buffalo, New York. The entire police squad then...
See, the thing is that once again, what really ticks people off more is that drunk dude that was in the hotel room. And that dude, was already on the ground. And then the dude just, dumped pumped 7 rounds or something like that in that dude. I mean, I don't know, like what? I mean, I don't know how many rounds, but, of course, that dude didn't get anything happen to him. And of course, I mean, the same thing has happened a few times, even with that white dude, they were all sitting in the back of that van, and they just like, okay, there he is. And they all come out, and they all just start dumping on this dude. He barely got off running, and they dumped on it. I'm like, damn, that's what, I don't know, but yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, conservatives and communists and anarchists are the same thing, leading to very entertaining instances of Republicans saying Democrats are leading us towards totalitarianism and control. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Stepped over his body, showing no concern, and even callously shouting out, "He's leaking," as blood poured out of his ears. Members of the press have also been pepper sprayed and tear gassed and beaten by police during these protests.
If ordinary people were beating up the press, then that would be based. I'll just tell you that right now. That's a dab, definitely. If it was ordinary people dabbing on journos, then okay. But yeah, if it's the police, it's kind of cringe. Just saying.
Military veterans have been victims of police brutality, such as this Navy veteran who was beaten and pepper sprayed for no reason. And
like, I'm going to say this about those 2 veterans. And I've said it before. This may be controversial, but I think it's just those are just idiotic boomers. They're basically the white dude version of Karens who are just like, well, I was a veteran, you should be able to listen to me because, look at all what we did in Vietnam. And they're screaming in these guys' faces. And so to me, I'm sorry, but the thing is, yeah, you can sit, the cops can still be pussy, but you can still be an idiot. It's like you can hate both. I think both of them are cringe. And the fact that, it's just so pitiful. I mean, and both sides do this sort of thing. This is me where I'm being a centrist, but it's like you can hate both. You don't have to be like Wignats and suddenly defend the idea that it's like, oh, it's so sad that a white woman got killed. Oh, too bad that white woman, was saying, F white people and Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. It's like, it's a complicated world. It's the same thing with that, with the chick that was killed by the Hispanic dude up in like, what was it? Like Idaho? I can't even remember, to be honest. I think it was Iowa, but I don't remember. It's like, and it turns out that the kid was working illegally at this place because conservatives didn't want to pay money. It's just, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, Daily Wire is my favorite comedy show. Yeah, go ahead.
An American Vietnam veteran who was pepper sprayed casually by a passing police officer for, again, no reason at all. That's not even getting into the trampling of human rights involving police and federal agents snatching people up in unmarked vans without showing badges or disclosing their names or the agencies they work for or reading anyone their rights.
Okay, once again, I gotta give the actually. I'm not gonna sit here and bootleg too hard, but it's like actually, those folks were released. But once again, I know who. It's so awful that they're snatching people off the streets. It's like, I mean, do you think that doesn't go on already? They snatch, kids off the streets and everything else. Come on, man. Like I say, I'm not gonna sit here and try to be moralistic, but come on, man.
And if you have any doubt that the police have been engaging in brutality during these protests, I encourage you to check out the Twitter feed of a conservative Republican lawyer named T. Greg Doucette, who has been compiling hundreds of videos of police brutality occurring at protests.
Mm-hmm.
The links to all of these videos are in the description. Now,
I don't care about what some imaginary conservative has to say. I do not care at all. Oh, sorry. I'm just sending a quick text to Rooney there. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Just a quick thing. You got to contact with your team members. All right. Okay. All right. I mean, that's all I can really say to it. All right, go ahead.
you might be feeling
Messed up to
upset
seeing
right
people's
now.
hair
I'm
blown
sure
back
you
by
have
pepper
some
spray
objections.
making
So
yeah.
let's pause now.
It's only
for just a
okay
moment, and
to
I hope
abuse
you'll
veterans
take
and
a
hippies
deep
do it.
breath.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always skeptical when someone says no reason at all. Yeah,
I understand
even if it's a
your
bad one.
objections.
Yeah, that's
It's
true,
not
Uncle Ho.
just the
Definitely.
police being violent. Protesters have been throwing bricks, breaking windows, looting, doing all kinds of violent stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough time to be a cop right now, especially if you're in a major city where the riots have been continuous for months on end. Some mistakes are bound to be made, and a few bad apples are bound to crack under that kind of pressure every now and again. Not all cops are bad, though, right? Most cops are just trying to serve their communities, after all. It doesn't make sense to just fire the entire police force because of a few crooked cops. And this is where I want to introduce to you the very first important concept that you need to understand if you want to fully understand police abolition.
Okay.
Systemic violence.
The
The whole idea of systemic violence is that violence occurs, well, systemically.
Yeah.
That is to say, individuals who serve the system may or may not intentionally act with violence, but they all serve a system that is inherently violent. This idea of systemic violence leads to the troubling acronym ACAB, which basically means all cops are bad. Now, to say that all cops are bad must certainly
that's
seem
funny
like
with the trouble vision. That's pretty funny. Even I have to admit, that's pretty funny. But yeah, I'm so sick of the ACAB thing. It's just like, why not just say, CK, blank killers, why not just do that? I don't get that. But of course, yeah, Trump people aren't even conservatives, so they party, trash whatever direction it goes. Yeah, exactly, that's true. Kind of funny to call Republicans conservative, considering they have conserved over. Yeah, exactly. That's why people don't like conservatism, as it is, because it's just ridiculous. And of course, they allow, they bring in mob-based blacks or mob-based Latinos to try to make it seem like they're or mob-based gay folks. It's ridiculous.
An absurd generalization. Of course, every single police officer in the United States of America is not a terrible human being who just revels in violence. Most cops initially join the force because they want to serve others, and a lot of cops do their best to try to help other people in the course of their work.
See, the thing is, it's so easy to get at the cops. Why don't you go at the other folks who make the laws? Why don't you, accost them and accost those folks? They did that even with Jenny Durkin. So it's like they can talk all day about the police, but it's like, why don't they accost those folks? Why don't they get more to the center of things instead of worrying about all the goons? Why not go to the source? I thought about this earlier. I'm like, well, why don't you go to the police chief? Why don't you go to, I don't know, go to the folks that are helping you, the insurance company that help you, that took away your business or whatever. Why not do that? But I know that's too hard to think about. I know. Yeah, all capitalist cops are bastards. There you go. That's true. All right.
Police abolitionists recognize this. However, police abolitionists argue that it doesn't matter if an individual cop is good or bad as an individual. What matters is that their jobs require them to serve a violent and oppressive institution of systemic violence, which we call the police. This is an extreme example, but perhaps it will help you to understand.
Yeah.
Not every single German soldier who worked at the Auschwitz concentration camp during the Holocaust was a violent camp guard. There were German soldiers working as secretaries and mechanics
Accountants.
and various other jobs that had nothing to do with murdering or torturing Holocaust victims directly. But
Okay. So let me stop right there. The thing is, one thing that has to be said, that I'm going to try to make a comparison, but this is going to be like Stretch Armstrong. Just bear with me, folks. But one thing about a lot of the concentration camps is individuals, a lot of these, the SS guys, they took the gold, they took the money, and this was pretty accepted. The corruption was pretty accepted. The connection is the projects, as we call it in the United States, the public housing. A lot of the time when folks die, it's catch as catch can. If you want something and you see that if someone has died and they live it on their apartment, whoever's going to be cleaning that apartment, who works for, I'm trying to think of it now, housing authority, they can take what they want. So there's a connection there. And also with housing authority as well. I'll tell you this because I worked for housing authority for a little bit. And I did mostly just the cleaning and everything else. But if you don't pay your rent or you don't pass an inspection, because they do that too. They treat it like it's the army, where if you have roaches behind your stove or something like that, or they catch you with weed, so they will put your stuff out. They'll put the most valuable stuff out in the front, on the front of your porch, because that's how it's set up where I'm at. It's all these little apartments scattered across. It's not some big high rise, like a Cabrini Green was. But so they put the Xbox or put something that you really like. They put that in the front so people could steal your stuff, and that's used as a form of control. It's a dirty game. It's a dirty game, but I mean, you can make your comparisons. So I'm just saying, take that as it is. I'm just going to put that up there. Yeah. Okay.
I think you would probably agree that everyone who worked at Auschwitz concentration camp was serving a very bad system, and they all had a moral obligation not to serve the system. Now, I'm not equating the police in the USA to the Auschwitz concentration camp. I'm just trying to make you understand that some systems are inherently bad, and working to serve such systems can't be morally justified no matter what the position within the system might be. As it was decided at the Nuremberg trials for Nazis, saying that you were just doing your job or just following orders was no excuse for committing crimes against humanity. It was
once again, I have to give the actually here. I'm trying to think of his name now. It's popped out of my head. Albert Speer. There we go. I was about to say, well, actually, Albert Speer I had a job sort of like that at a nursing home, but I would only pick items once things were marked as garbage, only after their family went through it. Oh, okay. What does he want to replace the police with? That's a good question. Once again, as a lot of these bread tube sort of folks, they give all this sort of, background, and then they'll tell you the idea. It's just like, okay, I mean, so I got to sit here and wait for you to get to your point. But yeah. But my point was that Albert Speer, now it's been discovered, Albert Speer had much more involvement in the Holocaust than was previously expected. And yet he was able to get off because, he was seen as a good one. And of course, he died while he was sleeping with one of his women. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that a base way to go out while you're banging some chick? I don't know, but I'm just saying. I always thought about that. It's like, oh, he died while he was making love to some young thing, some pretty young thing he took home. But that's not a good thing. I'm just saying is that even one of his assistants, after he came to the United States with Operation Paperclip, one of his assistants was kicked off. I don't know if he did jail time or what, but because he was involved with the slave labor creation of the V1 and V2s, he was BTFO'd. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting stuff here, like I said. Yeah. Anyways, let's continue forward.
True then, and abolitionists believe it's true today. So if we can agree that nobody should serve an inherently violent and oppressive system, we next have to decide if the police in the USA are an inherently violent and oppressive system. This is a complicated question, and before we can answer it, we first have to understand why the police exist and what the police force is designed to do. So first, let's take a short walk through the history of American policing. The very first constabulary services in what we now call the USA were actually put together before the American Revolution, and they were set up to protect the institutions of colonization and slavery. Indian constables were set up to police Native Americans in colonial New England in the 1600s, and in 1704, slave patrols were first set up in the Carolina colony. The Indian constables kept the local Native Americans suppressed so that white settlers could expand and solidify their territory.
Mm-hmm.
The slave patrols existed to catch escaped slaves and punish them before turning them back into their masters. These slave patrols lasted for decades until slavery was finally abolished at the end of the Civil War. In their place, the Ku Klux Klan was quickly formed to intimidate and suppress freed slaves. The KKK became notorious for assaulting and lynching black men, often for no reason at all. Throughout this period, the police forces evolved, often directly from the same forces which began as Indian constables and slave patrols, and in much of the South, the KKK had direct ties with early police forces, which would extend well into the 1960s and even persist in some places to this very day. In 1947, it was estimated that 1/4 of the Atlanta Police Department were members of the Ku Klux Klan. Then Mayor William B. Hartsfield decided to let black people join the police force to get more votes from the black residents of Atlanta, and the first black officers were thus commissioned in 1948. However, these black officers were forced to work out of a YMCA gymnasium to avoid conflict with the white officers, and the newly minted black officers were not allowed to arrest white people. The black officers were constantly harassed by white officers who regularly tried to run them over with their vehicles and harassed them incessantly. One white officer even proposed a
Let me take a look here. No reason at all. Here we go again. Yeah. He went out like a chat. Yeah. Yeah. No justified lynching. Saying that is a garbage phrase. Yeah. Yep. I believe the same thing. Yeah. I'm just rolling with my gang. Yeah. Exactly. It's just, oh my goodness.
$200 bounty to anyone who could kill a black police officer. Such racial divisions were not exclusive to the South, mind you. Metropolitan police forces began to be founded in the early 19th century. Boston's police force was founded in 1838, and the New York Police Department was founded in 1845. But even these police forces did not allow any black officers until 1911. W.E.B. Du Bois was a black American social scientist who pioneered some of the world's earliest work on sociological data gathering and analysis, covering subjects such as wealth inequality, race inequality, and crime. Du Bois documented the extensive history of criminalization and unequal treatment of black people under the law in the United States of America. Du Bois pointed out that black people in colonial America were subjected to special trials and punishments that were far more strict and harsh than what white people faced for the same crimes, a tradition which would continue through the centuries and into our present day. Du Bois was one of the first criminologists to use hard data to analyze the criminal justice system. Taking a look at early 19th century prison rates, Du Bois concluded that systemic discrimination existed against black people in the USA as they were arrested for less cause and given longer sentences than whites. Du Bois also did pioneering work on analyzing social conditions and data to
All right. I haven't really made a comment in a while. I don't really have too much to say. I can't really, I'll be honest with you. There's not much I'm going to sit here and try to defend or try to cope, because I know that I would look like a jackass if I did that. I I'm not going to sit here and deny that. I'm not going to sit here and deny any of it. What I'm going to say is what is the answer? And what is the real answer then? Because of course you're not going to say black separatism. You're not going to talk about Marcus Garvey. I know you're not going to talk about Nation of Islam or anything else like that. So, let's get into it, man.
Try to understand why black people in the USA tended to have higher levels of crime,
Remember, Nazis,
arrest,
bad,
and
but
imprisonment
Empire
than
Japan.
the white population.
Yeah.
He pointed out that in Philadelphia, black people were given very little opportunity to earn decent wages, and black people were not permitted to attend most of the best schools. Only menial labor was available to most of the black community, and even then there was not much honest work available for the black community, and so criminal activities were some of the only avenues available for earning money and surviving for a large segment of this population in the United States at that time. In the 19th century, Du Bois was one of the first sociologists to use scientific data analysis like this to try to understand the social forces that lead to suffering and crime in our...
It is kind of unfortunate. I will say this, when he mentions W.E.B. Du Bois, why doesn't he mention the fact that W.E.B. Du Bois helped to start schools in the South? He helped start, I believe, Tuskegee University. Let me make sure here. Make sure I'm saying that right. Tuskegee, Alabama. Let me just make sure here. And let me double check here. Oh, George Washington Carver? Let me make sure. Lewis Adams, okay. Oh, Booker T. Washington. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not... Once again, I will admit my cringe, but it's like sometimes, yeah. Booker T. Washington. Sometimes I get that mixed up. But yeah, go ahead.
Our society, and we can see that from the very beginning, race has become a major
Southgate's
factor
Nazan
in
University.
income,
Nazan
and
University.
income is linked strongly with crime.
Yet America stopped the war criminals
The wealth
tribunals.
gap between white and black
Once the
families
Cold War
is
surged,
still
Japan even
incredibly
elected a
apparent
war
throughout
criminal as the
American
prime
society,
minister.
with
Yeah.
white families having an average net worth of about $171,000, about 10 times higher than a typical black family's net worth of $17,150. So it's pretty obvious that black people, having much less access to wealth and education than white people, have fewer economic opportunities, and this explains why black people are more likely to have to resort to crime just to survive. It's a survival strategy. After all, poor people of all races are more likely to be imprisoned, and income equality is intrinsically linked to crime in communities regardless of racial composition. So it's not that black people are more likely to commit crime, it's that black people are more likely to be poor, and poor people across the board are more likely to commit crime. But even this does not explain the discrepancy in police violence against black people or the much higher conviction rates and much longer prison sentences black people get versus white people for committing the same crimes.
The thing is, my whataboutism to say to him would be, communism is literally pure. Yeah. My only real actually would be, how are black folks treated in, even your native Vietnam, or well, now it's your native Vietnam, or how they're treated in China, but that's not much of an argument, really. I just say that. I know that's kind of bad faith to say, but it's like, anyway, go ahead.
Nor does it explain why black people are 2.5 times more likely to be murdered by the police than white people, and black people are 1.5 times more likely to be unarmed when murdered by the police than white people. And police use force in general against black people 7 times more often than they do against white people. Okay, let's slow down. I know I've been throwing a lot of statistics your way, and you might have some statistics of your own that you'd like to. Also struggling against police injustice. 19th century police forces were commonly used to suppress the working class and the burgeoning organized labor movement of the era. In 1886, the police were used to violently suppress a workers' uprising in Haymarket Square in Chicago. I just happen to have another video that goes into more detail about police suppression during this time, including the full story of the Haymarket Massacre, but for now, suffice to say that the police were instrumental in keeping workers from striking and organizing throughout the 19th and early 20th century. One of the first modern state police forces in the USA was the Pennsylvania State Police. This force was modeled after the American military control tactics established in the Philippines by the United States Philippine Constabulary.
Yeah.
The Pennsylvania State Police existed primarily to suppress foreigners and organized workers.
Right.
One of the chief priorities of the Pennsylvania State Police was to violently suppress striking and organizing foreign workers in the mines that peppered Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The motto of the Pennsylvania State Police was, "One American can lick 100 foreigners," and they referred to themselves as the Black Hussars and the Cossacks. These police officers were instrumental in keeping foreign workers from practicing collective bargaining or fighting for better work conditions in the mines. It is this kind of suppression based on class that led working class movements of the 19th century to utterly despise the police. Some of the earliest police and prison abolitionists came from these workers' movements, including early anarchists like Pyotr Kropotkin. Whoa, let's take another deep breath.
Kropotkin, who once, I get so tired of Kropotkin because ultimately, as far as I know, with Kropotkin, he learned to play the game just like any other person in politics, including someone that tries to come up with a coherent and a consistent political doctrine. Is that Kropotkin played the game and ultimately tried to appease the Bolsheviks to a point. And he was one of the only Bolsheviks that was really respected. And, that was the last time that they used the anarchist flag in the Soviet Union. And then, once Kronstadt happened, Trotsky came in and BTFO'd everybody because they're like, hey, But yeah, that's a whole other story. I'm just saying is that, I'm just putting some context on it. I'm just trying to give some commentary. I'm trying not to be like the Twitch streamer, just be like, oh, and not say anything. So, I'm trying. You got to give me that. Give me some credit. Okay. Yep. Yeah, definitely with Japan. Yeah, it's definitely, I think the biggest problem for these types in America, like you said earlier, Tom, is that they don't have a plan what to do after. It's just abolish police, whitey bad, overthrow fascism. Yeah. And the thing is, it just, once again, the vacuum just gets filled by vigilantism. It gets filled by, whatever else that you want. I just don't, yeah. And definitely about Japan, yeah. Definitely, anime has screwed up so much stuff, hasn't it? Yeah. Lord have mercy. Okay.
I know I just said anarchist, and that's a very troublesome word. Please don't panic. In the near future, we will put out a whole series to explain anarchism in detail. But for the time,
here's what once again, I may not completely call myself a leftist, but at least I respect Marxist-Leninist doctrine, where at least they will admit that there is going to be a police force. And they will have at least people like Dzerzhinsky who are going to keep things in place or keep things, in order. And, we'll definitely BTFO a lot of this stuff. Whereas anarchists, at least nowadays, they just give lip service to bourgeoisie liberal movements. This is why no one trusts anarchism. And they are correct. But yeah, anarchism is disproved by history. It really is. It really absolutely is. It's true. Manga was made to give people hope and dreams through the Reconstruction period. Yeah. Yeah. Kawaii cultures such as PSYOP to pacify the post-war Japanese population. Yeah.
Time being, if you really want to try to understand what anarchism means to anarchists, you can watch this video by Thought Slime about misperceptions about anarchists. Link it.
No, I don't really care because Thought Slime just gives his, oh, well, gosh darn it, and tries to talk tries to talk to his audience like they're dumb. And then, of course, but hey, keep up the fight with Vosh. I guess Thought Slime is technically part of anti-Vosh action, but still, he's one of those guys. We don't allow him to the meetings. We'll put it that way. I don't allow him to the meetings. You can go ahead and play your own little games. But I'm just saying, yeah. Then Scotland got the bomb too, so based, yeah. Oh, anyway.
In the description. For now, just try not to focus too much on the scary word. Focus on the ideas. Anyway, one of the most prominent police abolitionists of the 19th century was the anarchist Pyotr Kropotkin. Now, something you should understand about Kropotkin in the 19th century is that he wasn't seen as a scary guy at the time. He was more akin to a rock star. When he toured the United States, he was greeted by massive crowds of working class fans who saw him as a voice of reason during a period of grave injustice against the working class. Kropotkin believed that an overemphasis on law and order in modern society has led to authoritarianism and a brutal state monopoly on violence. As Kropotkin put it, we see lawmakers legislating without knowing what their laws are about. Today, voting a law on the sanitation of towns without the faintest notion of hygiene. Tomorrow, making regulations for the armament of troops without so much as understanding a gun. Making education without ever having given a single lesson of any sort, or even an honest education to their own children. Legislating in all directions, but never forgetting the penalties to be meted out. In other words, Kropotkin questioned the legitimacy of elected officials writing laws about matters they knew nothing about and arbitrarily deciding what the punishment.
Because, well, here's the thing. This is going to be me kind of bootlicking here for a minute, but the thing is that not everybody has the time to study all the ins and outs of how sanitation works, or how, various cities or various, states, or whatever the case may be, how they operate. Not everyone has that time. Not everyone has that experience. That comes to a very limited group of people. Now, if you want those limited groups of people to take over, for themselves or whatnot, I mean, that's a whole other story. But, this is what we have. This is the system we have. I don't know. Like I say, I kind of sound like a shitlib saying that, but it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I'll have to read Galliani's The End of Anarchism. He apparently goes hard on Kropotkin. Oh, that's good. Based. Yeah. Thought slime is bread tube, not rice tube. Fair. Yeah. Racial Holy War. Oh, Rice Gang, baby. Rice Gang, rise up.
Punishments would be for failure to follow those illegitimate laws. Kropotkin continued, only compare the misdeeds accomplished in the name of each law with the good it has been able to effect, and weigh carefully both good and evil, and you will see if we are right. In other words, Kropotkin argued that the way laws are written and enforced in our current society does way more harm than good. Some of the first groups to officially call for the abolition of police in the USA were militant labor unions like the IWW and United Mine Workers, who sought to abolish the previously mentioned ultra-violent Pennsylvania State Police in the early 20th century. In 1916, the state police arrested all 262 people present at an IWW meeting and sentenced them all to 30 days in jail for labor organizing. Violence committed by the public police as well as private mining company-owned police forces.
Once again, they spend so much time with the history that they don't want to say anything. Definitely press F for Glassnow. We'll go ahead and do that. We got to remember my man. We got to remember Glassnow. We'll go ahead and do that. But the thing is, they still haven't answered the question. This is about the history of it. Don't get me wrong. This is interesting to a point, but it's like, okay, so what's your freaking answer? Let me cut to the chase here, because this is Feiwa. Okay.
People from challenging the authority of the wealthy and powerful, and that's why they hope to dismantle the system and build something completely new in its place. But history alone won't help us to truly understand this troublesome notion of police abolition. We have to look at the modern state of affairs, of course. After all, a lot has changed in the last few decades, so I hope you'll subscribe and stay tuned for part 2 of this series, in which we'll take a look at the modern police as we seek to further understand the troublesome notion of police abolition. In the meantime, if these troublesome notions have you feeling stressed...
Okay, well, that was pointless. Okay, well, sorry about that. It was some... There was some good information in there, but I think overall it's just kind of like, okay. Well, it's like you took 20 minutes, of course, as usual with the BreadTube video. It's like, well, we have to thank all our patrons, and we have to spend 5 minutes talking about them all. It's just like, ugh, give me a break, It's just so ridiculous, It's absolutely redonkulous when you see this type of stuff, isn't it? When you see all this sort of Feiwa go on. Oh, my goodness. I think I've said my piece, like I say. Oh, boy. Ooh, at least the first week is down. Everything else was school. So I'm kind of getting into the old routine. And I'm just going to try to just slide on through. And hopefully we'll get my degree and move on. I think I've said my piece. So let's go ahead and end it there. And like I say, I think I will try to come up with a schedule. I'll kind of come up with something that may be more reasonable. So I will put that in the About section, and I will do it. I'll probably do it in the pinned comment on one of those Vosh clips, the most recent one. I think that one I did about Vosh the ANCAP. So I think I'll do that. Anyway, I think I'll keep it there. So we'll go ahead and end this old hunga dunga out here. Let's do it.
Fought single-handed against the desperate imperialists. Even in the face of food difficulty, the Korean people valued billets more than sweets. In the unprecedented hardships and trials, a complete whole is formed more firmly between the supreme commander and soldiers, between the army and people. This is precisely the strength of Juche Korea, the might of Sungun politics.